Hello and welcome to the TradeSite Stocks and Futures Market Preview and Domestic Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Monday, April 18th, 2016 and ending Friday the 22nd. Welcome to big week of earnings with Intel, Microsoft, and many of the other big players playing. Usually the core 8 days of earnings would have been this last Tuesday until next Thursday, but there weren't as many earnings this week as you'd think. It's a little bit later this quarter, so we've got a lot of earnings this week and still a lot the week after, so just be aware of that. Let's take a look at the ES. This is the S&P in futures format on the daily chart, and we got a 13 seeker sell signal that we talked about on Wednesday or Thursday. This is a major signal. The last time this happened was back in February of last year, and that was the high for the year. So it's not very often you get all the way to a sell signal with the seeker tool on the daily chart of the broad market. So let's just be aware of that, because these signals work about 80% of the time, and there's still some wiggle room above that up to about 21. Let's call it 2110, maybe. No, maybe, yeah, maybe that, to stay under the risk line. But the ultimate target would be this red line below, and that's back down by 1880, which is almost 200 points lower. Let's take a look at some of the key things that traded on Friday. We've got oil was back down over $1 to 40.4750. Gold was up $9.70 to 1236.20. Very flat session for stocks as for options expiration on Friday, as we knew it would be. So you had the S&P down just 2 points, NDX down 11, and that one also is on the way to its Seeker 13 signal. If they both get them, ooh, look out, that would be interesting. Stocks down 5.5, biotech's down 9, which is a blip on the bios. The VIX lost 10 cents to 1362, still holding above where that buy signal was just a couple weeks back. The trend closed at 1.18, with leaving the 10-day moving average at 1.01, which is not a signal either way for the markets. This is amazing. NASDAQ volume on Friday for expiration Friday was only 1.5. This is why we didn't get that much of an options unraveling move on Wednesday. There just weren't a lot of options positions. A lot of this is the daily chart of NASDAQ volume, and a lot of those spike days you see where there's a blip way above the rest are options expiration. Now, on triple expiration, which is March, June, September, and December, it almost always happens. But even the other months, you usually get a blip up. And for this to only be 1.5, I mean, that's less than 2 of the days this week alone. Very, very unusual, very, very light activity. So advanced decline ratio on the NASDAQ was negative 59, meaning there were 59 more stocks down than up. And on the New York was plus 216. Not much movement in the markets. Google gained $4.61 on Friday. Apple down 225. Amazon up 514. This thing actually, after their announcement the other day on the Kindle, is actually busting a 13 sell signal. That last one ended up working well, though, back in December. Netflix up $1. All right, let's look at the intra-week action just to see how the week played out. Now, this is in 10-minute candles, so you can see on Monday we gapped up, pushed a little higher, pulled back, eventually filled the gap. It was a pretty slow Monday. We had volume warnings basically all week. Tuesday, little gap up that filled pretty quickly. We shot up, closed higher. Wednesday we gapped up, did not fill the gap, drifted up. That was the options unraveling day, and as you can see, it's not that big. Thursday opened flat, tried to move up, and ended up closing just about flat. Friday, look how narrow some of those bars got. That's an options expiration day if I've ever seen one myself. Quite remarkable there. NASDAQ side, I'm sure not much different. If you take a look at how flat Wednesday through Friday was on the NASDAQ. Ick. Yeah, and there's your explanation, right? No volume in the markets. No options unraveling move, because there were no options positions, and that's why the market didn't move going into expiration. All right, so let's take a look at the week ahead and see what we can look forward to in the markets. And again, it's going to be not a lot. On Monday, we've got the NAHB Housing Market Index, no big deal. Tuesday, housing starts and building permits. Wednesday, the MBA Mortgage Index, existing home sales, crude oil inventories. That's the weekly number. Thursday, the weekly initial jobless claims, Philly Fed, FHFA Housing Price Index, leading indicators, and natty gas. Friday, no data. But remember, the big thing this week anyways is earnings. Earnings season is a different time for traders. A lot of the big players stand off to the side, don't hold stocks overnight that could have release earnings, or maybe have other stocks in their sector release earnings. You don't want to get wrapped up in that. You expect gaps in the mornings. You expect some late day action as rumors fly about stocks that are going to release after the bell. All of this is very different than the usual activity in the markets. So, just a different environment. If it's your first time through earnings season, we always encourage people to kind of sit on the sidelines, be a little more cautious, and see what it actually trades like, because it is very different. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. We are offering a special price this weekend on a group mentorship program. It's the lowest price we've ever offered. It is probably the only time I will ever offer this price. So you've been considering our 6-month program, check in with us this weekend and get signed up. It will not happen again at this price level. I can pretty much promise you that. We will see you in the lab. Hope to see you next week and help you make some money. Have a great trading week and a good weekend.